We're here to help. You have no idea where you landed, do you?
Even after today, after everything, we are still here.
Can we just take a breath before we begin?
Hello to all the geek enthusiasts and nerd aficionados and deadheads. That's what it was. It was deadheads because it was Walking Dead. That's what we talk about. This is the Malice Cast TV Talks live reaction podcast on Twitch, twitch.tv/Malice Corp. Every Monday. Was at 9 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. We're doing it 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. We're trying to get it earlier so that more people can come and join us and talk dead to us, and so we can talk dead to them. But yeah, this is our live reaction podcast where we talk about episodes of shows that we love and hate sometimes at the same time. So, we missed you guys last week, so we are doing 2 episodes for Fear the Walking Dead, Season 5, Episode 1, which was Here to Help, and Season 5, Episode 2, which was written...
Hurt that will come.
The Hurt That Will Happen.
Will happen, that's it.
Happen. That will happen. And I am your host, Mess5150. Also joining me every week, hopefully, as we try to do this, my 2 compatriots in crime in terms of surviving the apocalypse. I see Zorro. Hello, sir.
How's it going? Watched the show a couple of times today because just wanted to remember a couple of specific things.
Okay. Well, good, because I didn't rewatch the first episode, so I just have my list of notes. And Mrs. Malice is here on the cast with us as well. Hello.
Hello. My house smells delicious right now.
Okay.
I can't help
Little background information. I like it.
it. Smells so good in here.
Not only is this a live stream podcast, it's an ambiance cast where we will describe the smells that are coming. Well, we probably only describe the smells from her house if it smells wonderful, because there's a cat litter box around the corner for me right now.
My house right now smells like hamburgers, onions, and mushrooms.
Portions of this podcast will be recorded as ASMR.
Well, don't you have to talk like on this side and then come around and talk on this side?
I just have the one microphone right now. Maybe later.
Okay. So what this cast is, we actually react, review, and recap the episode that just previously happened, give our thoughts, make our jokes, and make our predictions on what's going to happen for the rest of the season as we go along. So this one is Fear the Walking Dead once again, and because it's 2 episodes, we're not going to do a 2-hour long cast for you here, so we're going to like segment it really quickly on stuff. We'll start with episode 1 really quickly to kind of run through it. Where we finished the last season was them getting to the mill for Denim and deciding to put a plan together that they were basically going to go help. We're going to go help the world. They could have actually canceled Fear the Walking Dead last season, and it would have felt like an actual like cancellation to a series, because it was just like,
well, we've got our base, we've got our mission, we're going to be out there just helping folk.
Yeah. Luckily they didn't cancel it because we got so many great characters added last season. So
And we got many more added back this season.
Yes. And this season opens up with, for all the help they're trying to do, stuff hits the fan really quick because they haven't been able to help anybody. And the first person that they're trying to help while they're on their way there, we have Luciana, Dory, not like the fish, June.
He's in the back chanting, "Just keep flying, just keep flying."
June, Morgan, and Al. I think that's all that's in the plane crash landing. So, which must have made Mrs. Malice extremely happy to see like a plane or a helicopter or something just come flying through the air. She loves that whenever that happens on The Walking Dead.
Oh, well, it's the connection between the plane and the helicopter.
Yeah,
it's a plane, boss. It's a plane. Through like the whole Walking Dead series, it's been a whole thing when you see a single plane and then they never explain the plane. And finally, now we know where the planes are coming from. They're coming from Fear the Walking Dead.
Yeah, that's it's just Althea crashing all of them. All the planes are coming from.
It's been Al the whole time, bringing stories and creating herds.
We get 2 kids first that we see, new characters, Dylan and Max. I called them Pigpens Jr. because they're both very dirty kids. Don't know how to take a shower, apparently.
Felt like one of them should have been called Scout, you know?
Yeah, they see the plane. We get a new version of what the Walking Dead are called, growlers by the kids. And so I just, to that phrasing of growlers, I put that the kids are beer drinkers.
Absolutely. Yeah. These dead folk need to be filled up with beer right now.
Alicia comes in to save everybody, and
she comes striding out of the fiery wreckage of the plane like a badass.
Not only like a badass, she comes with a propeller machete.
Yeah,
and she looks like
Final sword, dude.
Yeah, she looked like Cloud from Final Fantasy VII. And I was really, really mad when she got back to her gun barrel because I really wanted it to go with the freaking the plain machete for the rest of the season.
I mean, maybe she could have attached the one to the other and had a gun sword.
Or she should just have both and carry the one on her back so that way she could switch, when she's feeling a little, fly. She wants to be like fighting or shooting.
Yeah. So we find out who they're looking for to help, which is Logan. So they're trying to find Wolverine. Yeah, sorry. That's where my brain went when I first saw it.
That took a second.
Okay.
In the plane crash, train, planes, and automobiles in this episode.
John Candy was there.
This is what happens when you run through the episode really quickly so that we can have timing for stuff. We see that Luciana's hurt extremely badly because a pole went through her shoulder. And what'd you guys think on seeing Luciana hurt that badly that quickly? Did you think they're going to kill off a character pretty quick? And because I thought, okay, well, I don't know how they're going to get her out of there. I thought they were going to kill off a main character within the first episode. Personally.
Yeah, but smells good.
My prediction on this, though, I don't think so because I think she's going to meet up with Dwight and they're going to fall in love.
You think they're going to replace Dwight? I've already forgotten his name. Nick with Dwight.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh.
Or the Dwight wouldn't. I thought the whole idea was he's out there looking for what's her name.
Yeah, but he's not going to find her. She's going to be dead, and then he's going to die, and then she's going to cheer him up.
Well, and that was the thing. That's why I thought that they would kill her off really quickly because once Nick was gone from the show, I didn't think there was any purpose for her anymore. She's now the comic relief. She's yeah, exactly. In the last episode, she's the comedy relief. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
No, I had 2 main thoughts when I first saw that thing sticking out of her shoulder. The first was, the classic, I'm seriously injured, but I'm going to be okay TV injury, which we see Rick get before as well. It's basically rebar through the torso. Mm-hmm. And then for a second, I thought, well, crap. I mean, that looks pretty serious if they end up killing her right away. How unfair is that to that actress? She already missed like an entire season from jumping the wall at one point.
Well, technically, having that pole stuck on her is probably like a shadowing of what happened with Rick too. Like you just said, he had the same thing kind of happen to him, but it was good. So
if she ends up getting taken by the same people, that would be a brilliant move.
Yeah,
absolutely. But yeah, in this whole fight with the zombies, it's in the rain. You get Mud Zombie in the cockpit where you see June and Al. Seeing that Al is the one that crashed the plane, and June is got Mud Zombie like trying to bite her through the mud.
Hey,
and
I thought that was kind of hilarious how the zombie was like rubbing her face, like, "Hey, baby."
Well, no, the funny thing, the thing I thought, how great of we already know that he's a trick shot, that he's an amazing shot, but to get that headshot on the Mud Zombie from John Dory.
He almost bent that bullet wanted to.
Where was he looking from?
I expected Angelina Jolie to be behind him. Like, that was a good one. Yeah.
That's what I was thinking about. So you curved the bullet.
My first thought was, okay, we know Al knows how to drive a giant truck, probably because she taught herself over many long and torturous months. Why did they think she could fly a plane? She's a journalist.
Well, Yeah, and that's something that's thrown back to her later, where they're like, "You're a pilot? Oh, I'm a journalist. Oh, no wonder you crashed."
I mean, we flew all the way to the crash, so pilot.
I like how she was like, we didn't crash, we crash landed. It's the same thing. You crashed.
Yeah, that just means you were in the air before you crashed. Yeah.
The one cool thing about this scene that I really liked was when they got the perimeter set up really quickly, the tripwire.
Yeah, that was cool.
I was like, that's awesome, because I haven't seen anybody be like, let's portable tripwire, because
Absolutely. It's like Caltrops, but for zombies.
we find out it's a high radiation area, to which I wrote, where's our toxic Avenger zombie? If I don't see a zombie walking around with a mop at some point for a trauma throwback, I'm gonna
like tree branches or something. It's just grown around his arm that happened to be holding him up when he died.
every single week I'm gonna ask for a trauma high radiated zombie with the way they look now. So then we get body armor zombie, which is a big thing. And the only
Electrified body armor zombie.
that body armor was better than what freaking they wore from the prison.
Lynn.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which, okay, when you guys saw that zombie, quick reactions, because mine was I got really pissed at Al for ruining a good outfit. Because
My first thought was like she didn't know the guy had this, faceplate on, so she's stabbing up there with what should be a good tool, and I was like, oh crap. Oh, you're ruining that helmet.
yeah, that was where my reaction went with it, was that once she saw that she couldn't penetrate through that way, and everything that and he got thrown onto got speared on the rebar, I was like, if it was Glenn, the first thing he would have done would have been like, we're taking that outfit,
Oh yeah.
The fact too is like she left him like not alive but / dead on the thing instead of stabbing him. Like, what are you doing?
Thank you. Someone's fine.
Him.
Kill them as you go.
Yeah.
And
Like a zombie.
back to it at the end of the first episode, and it takes her like 3 seconds to get the helmet off. So I don't understand what the problem was the first time around.
They were ill-focused because they just crashed, I guess, or the issue with Luciana had them. I don't know. But
At that point too, she wasn't the only one there too, because Dory walks up too to see if she's okay, and he lets it live too. It's like, guys, how long have you been doing this? Why aren't you killing the zombie? What's wrong with you?
yeah, I know. By the end of this scene, Alicia becomes her mom in terms of the way that she's acting. So
We predicted that.
Huh? Oh yeah.
Did that, yeah.
So, and then we get the sister to Dylan and Max that shows up in the van to pick them up. And now they are the Pigpen triplets is my coining for them. We see that the other half of the group is on the road to the rescue, which is Strand and the little girl. Can't remember her name.
I can't remember. Her name either.
I can't either.
And then our two other favorite people that
Yeah,
make the game.
and Chill Mitchell.
Yeah. So in the van with the Pigpen triplets. Okay. Al talks about her crash landing. And immediately Al is now Launchpad McQuack because she talks about walking away from it, and any crash that you walk away from is a landing. And that is Launchpad.
God, that is a great reference.
So from now on, if you hear me say Launchpad, I'm talking about Al.
Understood.
And okay, so we get this whole little thing with the kids talking about kind of the area. I wanted to get your guys' thoughts on the kids acting, because all three of those kids, for the short duration that we had in this one episode, are far superior actors to Henry. All the versions of Henry on. So
I never want to see them again.
So, is Scott Gimble holding all the good kid actors for Fear the Walking Dead outside of
right? Well, with the possible, Judith is pretty good.
that's outside of the one, because she's so main, but all three of them. I thought they were they
were
did
great.
a great job.
Yeah,
What do you think, Mrs. Malice?
they were just menacing and spooked enough.
I don't care about.
You didn't like their acting?
No, I
You know those kids
thought they were like just kind of like there and not there. I don't know. I mean, they were good actors, but at the same time, I felt like they were kind of like, why are they there? Like,
And
the
usually
filler.
there's a flat. If you're watching this on the visual cast, usually there's a flash poster behind Mrs. Malice on our previous casts. But because we're doing a Walking Dead cast, I don't know if she purposely did this, but she put the flower behind you so that you guys could look at the flowers.
We're all
while
looking
you're
for
talking.
I didn't even think about that when I heard that, and that we decided to start doing the
Getting
podcast
nervous
in
now.
this room. I didn't even think about that.
Well, Mrs. Malice doesn't really care about the kids. She thinks they're just there. She puts the flower to look at. Mrs. Malice is turning into Carol.
Oh my god! Just cut my hair short.
Ugh.
Well,
Um,
no, I can keep it long. I just have to let it go white.
Yeah, exactly. And then we gotta get some dreads onto Miss Jack Malice.
I really want to see that now.
Oh god!
Oh god. And we'll
I
just,
have
we'll
to
just
paint Carmen like a tiger.
now you shave the puppy down so it looks like it has stripes. Okay. Now back to the episode. Sorry guys. We get so far we've gotten mud zombies, and then we get entrail zombies for the roadblock.
Oh yeah, that was a creepy roadblock.
Okay,
I think.
That took time.
let me tell you right now. I already asked for Halloween. The one decoration I want in my yard is a tree with zombie heads in it.
That was kind of cool. The zombies hanging, but the entrail zombies. I mean, what'd you guys think on that one? Because I was like, that's actually, they basically that's what Negan did with like sticking everything on spikes. But
Yeah.
I'm like, that's the easier way of. That's
Is
kind
it
of
though?
cool.
Because they're all still trying to bite the whole time, and that looked like gross work to do.
Well, that's what I mean. Is it's a good like border. It's like a good kind of how Negan did it in the Sanctuary, where the zombies were there for like a protection type of thing to people walking in. I thought it was a kind of
It
neat
was an
idea.
interesting visual for sure.
So my question is now too, because you got technically we find out what kind of guy Logan is. Now is he connected in a way?
This is not. This is a completely separate group from Logan. I'm guaranteeing that because
So
because
now
Agreed.
we're not getting just one villain. We're gonna have two.
I'm not convinced that the people stringing up zombie heads are villains.
not yet.
Not yet, but could it possibly?
They're
be?
definitely demented.
Yes.
So
Yeah, well, I absolutely agree. It's a different group than Logan.
so when you talk about the visual, I'm sorry I'm going there, but the entrail zombies, the way that they were all tied up and stuck on each other, they look like two dogs stuck together after mating. There was actually two of the zombies that were back to back, like doing. So I was like,
Oh my god, that's so gross.
I
didn't think
used
That's-
to raise Labradors, so I saw
Not a
that.
visual I needed. Thanks.
Sorry.
Yet,
talking about
it will
the
haunt my dreams tonight. So thanks again.
I know. I'm talking about the zombie tree because that was badass.
No, there's the heads in the tree. That was the even cooler part. I thought, like,
Yeah.
they took down the zombie fence pretty quickly, but then they're like, oh crap, it's like the worst fruit ever.
The funny thing was the way they were strung up. It looked like they cut the heads off and then swung them up like when you tie shoelaces together.
Yeah, exactly.
So they're all drug dealers trying to show you that they got drugs there.
That's what I was
The old white Nikes.
like, "Oh,
Is that what that's for?
We got drugs.
I grew up in the suburbs, man. I had no idea.
Yeah, the white Nikes on that's the rumor of what the white Nikes meant when you threw them up and got them run, was that somebody on that street was a drug dealer.
No,
Okay.
I never heard
That's
that. Okay.
that's the urban legend of it. So probably just kids that were like, screw it, I'm throwing somebody's shoes up there. So we get to the gas station they were trying to get to for Logan, which turns out to be one of Polar Bear's gas stations. And nobody's there. They put Lucy on the table. Everyone else searches the complex. We get the heartfelt moment from Dylan and Lucy. So, which was the cute little, like, Lucy talking to the little kid and about the trucks. Why trucks? Why, why toys? And then when the crap hits the fan, the triplets run. So that's why
they basically just keep chanting, "You can't protect us, you can't protect us," and that's where June makes the
they keep talking about you don't know where you don't realize what you've come into, what area you know.
Right.
So,
and I'm wondering, like, how far away are they from Strand? Like, he keeps on trying to get a plane to get back to them. There's no way they could drive. I believe at one point.
I think it's because of the storm that they can't drive over there.
I think he said at one point they're on the other side of the mountain, which is why he needed a long range radio. But
yeah. Then we get to see who Logan is, because Logan shows up at the denim plant, takes it over, and I was like, Max Headroom's in
exactly. It's Max Headroom. That's awesome. Matt Frewer. Love that guy.
Me too. I was like, oh, cool. Good.
This is the funny thing. When I'm watching it, he goes right up to the denim plant, and I'm like, how do you know the lock code? Like, he went right up to it. Like, and then we find out that he was the other part of Polar Bear's ownership of all this stuff.
Yeah.
So
CNL was Clayton and Logan.
Yeah.
See that CNL on the back of your rig? I'm the L.
Yeah. So they go back to the factory. He shows them that he's taken over the factory, that it's his property. So he's not stealing because he's just taking back his property. You guys stole it in the first place, technically.
He's kind of got a point.
Yeah.
And they bone out, and Mo and they don't got the factory anymore, but at least they still got some beer left to drink. So
Yeah, apparently really crappy beer. She has.
My favorite part too is when they're driving a diesel and the SWAT car down the road, and there's two zombies, and one zombie, and then the SWAT car hits the other zombie, and the head goes flying up.
That was a good.
It's like, oh my god, that's freaking brilliant.
Thing came off like a Rock'em Sock'em robot that was losing.
We get the Morgan and Al moments where Al wants to go back to the outfit she ruined. We get John and June having a touching moment for the episode. Alicia and Morgan do the two sides of the coin of the, helping people versus not helping people. And Morgan brings up the fact that it wasn't going to be easy to do this. And that's something that seems that we're going to be going back to a lot this season, is how hard it's going to be.
I think we're gonna spend a lot of time dealing with Alicia's emotional issues regarding her place in the group and the loss of her mom and brother and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the person that Strand was told by Althea to find, Skidmark, because he has a small plane. Strand finds the tape for Skidmark and finds out it's Daniel. So he has to go talk.
His back. Yes.
He has to go talk to Daniel to try and get the plane. And we get to Al, rather than waiting for backup, going out to the zombie in the outfit she ruined. We find out how even better that outfit is because it's got stinking wires in it. So there's more going on with it than just being protective against zombies.
Well, and then we see what those wires are for when somebody else in a similar outfit comes up behind her and shocks her with their glove.
I thought he actually had a stun gun in his hand.
I think it was part of the suit.
No, it was an
No, he had an actual, yeah. I think it's more for radio conversation, and it was waterproof too, the suit was. But
except for that big rebar hole.
She finds a thing in his pocket with letters with different building schematics, and then Al gets tased and gets knocked down. So we all know it happened because they were talking about it like crazy. But did you catch the Easter egg when she pulled that stuff out?
I remember when I first saw it, but then when I watched it again, I missed that part.
There's a symbol on those little schematic. Yeah, I couldn't tell if they're building schematics or maps or what, but yeah,
they look like they may be maps, but they are schematics of something. And
Sure.
what I noticed on him, so what everybody pinpointed, what everybody caught immediately when they saw it was that is the exact same symbol of the group that picked up Rick. The
That's
three
right.
circles.
Yeah, the three interlocked rings were on the back of the helicopter.
But what I caught was on each card had a different schematic, and on each schematic there was A, B, C,
See
D,
that?
J, and through K, and I was like, "There's your. We need an A. We need a B. It's not what we were thinking. I think it's that they needed people for these specific communities.
Oh, okay.
So that's what I got from it. Nobody talked about that factor, but literally every single card had an alphabetic number, the letter to it, all the way up to K. So I think that was there's only so many people they can put in so to do what they need to do or work.
Still
And
doesn't explain how they choose who goes where, though.
that's what they have people out there to figure out for. So
And that's why we'll have that movie with Rick someday.
well, that's the thing is this is the first teaser we're getting to the movies is this, and they've confirmed that it was a teaser for it. So that was the first episode. That's just a quick run through. Usually when we do this cast, it's going to be an actual like breakdown scene by scene and stuff. We just didn't want to leave it out because if you're listening, you're going to be like, where was episode 1? And we didn't have one for episode 1.
Yeah.
But we're going to do a quick run through as well for episode 2, which I think will be a lot easier to do because there wasn't as much happening. We're just going to focus on the 2 major storylines that happened with it. Yeah. But before we get into that, just to talk about us a little bit, like where you can follow and check us out. This podcast and all the podcasts we do are brought to you by malice-corp.com. That is the website that houses all of our major podcasts. So make sure to head over to malice-corp.com. You can look up for the podcast for all things nerd, for Smack Talk, which is our wrestling podcast, for TV Talks, where we talk a bunch of different TV shows and any other type of nerdy stuff. You can reach out to us on Facebook as well and everything. So, okay, last night's episode, The Hurt That Will Happen. We get Strand telling everybody that he's going to go get the plane and he's going to go reach out to Skidmark. And I'm still like, why Skidmark name? And we find that out why.
Yeah.
Best nickname ever. Best name for an animal ever.
Well, I want the story behind it. Okay, before
Oh,
we
no,
get
they
to-
give you the story.
Do they give you the story?
Yeah.
I didn't
Well,
catch
wait
that
till
part.
we get there. I'll tell you.
Okay, I didn't catch that part. Okay. So Strand goes up to, knowing Daniel's there, goes up to the place that Daniel's at. Daniel pulls a gun on him, and without even looking at him, Strand already gives like the whole like, okay, wait before you shoot, and let me explain it. Let me talk about what's going on. And I love the beginning of this episode. I love Daniel at the beginning. The first words out of his mouth is, Strand, you still talk too much.
You still talk too damn much, Victor.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
At which point he says, Skidmark likes you. Strand says, the cat has good taste. And then Daniel gives him the reason the cat's name is Skidmark. He licks his own asshole.
Is that where the story came from?
Yeah.
on it?
That's it. It's a one-line story.
Okay, that's how. I just thought it was. I thought it was just him, because that's what cats do. So I thought that's my thought went there before knowing that the cat's name was Skidmark, because I was like, did she see Strand like shit his pants or something?
Or maybe he found him at the end of a skid mark in the road.
That's what I was wondering. Is like he
No, as
ran
far
out
as I
of
know,
the
it's just because he
street.
licks his own ass. Yeah.
Okay, because I was like,
now-
he ran out of the street. Strand had to hit the brakes because he wasn't going to kill the cat, and yeah.
Salazar, yeah.
Which is weird. Why would he say the cat?
Well, so here's my theory.
He's alone.
There's a tiny little detail here that I noticed that makes him kind of a dick. The cat has a collar with a bell on it.
I didn't see that. Oh my god.
So my theory is that he's actually using that cat to draw walkers back into his little trip trap.
Oh
That's funny.
my god. He's a dick.
Either that or he's just a real dick.
Oh my god. I didn't even think about that.
So continuing on this story, and I'm not going to finish the story right now because there's some things that we need to talk about before we get to how Daniel changes throughout the episode. But they get into the facility. Daniel still doesn't trust Strand, and mainly because the last time he saw Strand, he shot him in the face. And
That's a good reason, I'd say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I still wanted to see more. Like I said, I want to see the ever-evolving Daniel, as the series goes on, disappear and come back and like be missing different limbs and stuff. So he's got the scar on his face now from the gunshot. I wanted a little bit more from the surviving the explosion.
Like missing his left ear or something.
Something.
Like that.
Yeah. I want to slowly see him just turn into just a torso.
I think we talked about this before. Just have him morph into the all pegs pirate guy from Family.
Because they said he's not back 100% for the series, but that he's got more story to tell, and so I don't want to see him die anytime soon. I want any death with him. I want it to always be off screen so you don't see him, so that they can't come back with something else having happened to him.
He works every 3/4 of a season or so.
Yeah, they go into the place. Strand tries to tell him why he needs help, explaining that he needs to help people, which of course we've heard this story from Strand before. We've always heard, him. He's a great salesperson. That's the biggest thing with Strand. He was a great salesperson, but it was always himself that was the major focus.
He's the classic con man. He's the no, I swear this time it's real. Also, where did you get this giant defended warehouse full of every kind of vehicle I can think of?
Yeah.
So your reply is, you could say I inherited it. Yeah, he definitely killed someone for that warehouse.
No, he's related to Jay Leno, is what it is. What happened. But I mean, the big thing here is Daniel hasn't seen the reaction that Strand had after the loss of
Madison,
because he was still that selfish. As we know, right before Madison was gone, he packed up his own car, had everything set up for himself, and took off.
I fully believe that Strand is at this point 97% the man that he's trying to become. There's a 3% situation where he would actually dip out just because, but I think he is overall the good guy he's trying to be.
The factor that now he's leaving notes or leaving messages for people, he's not just disappearing and saying, hey, we need to get this done. He is definitely evolving into the person that he says he is, big time. So yeah, we see that Daniel's by himself. I mean, that was the big thing, is like, how do you hoard that much stuff by yourself and not have anybody attack?
If anybody could, it'd be Daniel Salazar.
I guess. Yeah. Okay.
Because he is Salazar.
One bad mother.
Shut your mouth. Okay, so into the other major story, which is the rest of the group. They're all looking for Al. Lucy's wound is being healed, and it looks pretty nasty at first, but they're doing a good job with it.
Yeah, considering she had an ER nurse to pull a pipe out of her shoulder, good surgery.
She's on great medication.
Yeah.
Morgan and Alicia go out to search the area looking for Al. We see more signs of radiation everywhere, basically. And they see a really interesting looking truck. Now, once again, I don't know what it is with Fear the Walking Dead, but everybody's turning into pig pens, like not washing. Because Alicia, the dried blood on her for like
both
the
episodes.
She would try and get some water to like try and.
But I gotta think that's intentional. Like I said, I think we're dealing with a lot of emotional issues with Alicia's character this season, and I think that like she just sees herself as the group's enforcer now. That's all she thinks. That's all she's good for, and because of that, she's like, well, it's more important for me to get out there and kill things than it is for me to clean my face.
So they find the weird ass truck, which we know that she was we find out later that she's keeping water and stuff, but what is with the big circle things? Do we know on the truck?
I couldn't tell if those were supposed to be solar arrays or maybe she was going to set up somewhere. I don't know.
But they see this truck. Alicia, being super smart, like of all the cars that are parked there, touches the one truck and is like, the motor's still warm.
Well, I actually thought about that.
Pick up like some like high detective, like, ooh, it's still warm.
Yeah, well, no, I thought about that because Sherlock Holmes kind of first impressions thing. She saw that this is a truck that has been super jerry-rigged, but still seems to have everything relatively in order. So yeah,
I guess I can get behind that factor of it. So they assume that somebody's around and they go through the fence, even though it says radiated area. And Morgan
what
finds our third zombie of the season. So we've had mud zombie, we've had entrail zombie, we now have bird poop zombie. So the
Yeah,
special
Mara.
effects are getting really low at this point.
I was wondering, like, that because that zombie's face was covered in bird crap. How long has that bird been crapping on that zombie?
Well, how
Where did
I
they
mean,
get the food for
highly
that?
irradiated area? How are those birds living long enough to poop that much on that zombie?
Good question. Like they should be dead. They
Yeah.
should not be pooping.
Yeah, exactly. And we have them swiping at the bird box trap is what the zombies are doing. And
Which I
Morgan
think
goes,
that is
what?
a clever zombie trap, though.
Oh yeah.
It's a good zombie trap.
Oh no, I get it. I get it.
Yep.
There's just two things. One that I'm going to bring up really quick once we get into what's going on in the area. As Morgan goes to take out the zombies, he gets rope boloed around his legs, and
She's a good shot with those things too.
He gets
She got
roped.
right above the ankles.
He gets roped and told to strip.
he gets tied down and told to strip. Yeah.
I mean, we've all had those nights.
And we get our new character of this episode. Grace is introduced to us. And she gives the explanation for what's going on, that everything's highly irradiated in that area, that he needs to strip down to decontaminate because he dealt with a really highly radiated zombie. So now we have radiation zombies.
Is this where I
And-
could break in with my complaint about the episode?
You can, because I'm going to give you a little setup for two things.
Sure.
Because you brought up another series as well where you said this stuff doesn't happen. But AMC and Fear the Walking Dead are really looking to bank off of other things. So they're like, what was really popular last year was Netflix's Bird Box. So let's do a Bird Box trap, and then everybody will look up Bird Box and they'll come over to Fear the Walking Dead. Then they're like, oh my God, the ratings are going insane for Chernobyl. Hey, let's have radiation zombies.
I mean, let's give them a little bit of credit and figure that maybe they had this written months and months ago. But yeah, it's
Hey, no. AMC wants in on the action is what's going on.
But here's my one problem with the conceit of this episode and the entire well, not the entire show, but a big thing in Chernobyl. They get the science wrong. If you get irradiated by a melting down nuclear reactor, that does not make you a nuclear reactor. It's like getting shot by trillions of tiny little bullets that go through you and damage your DNA and your cells and stuff. That does not mean that you are suddenly made out of tiny little bullets. So the zombies wandering around should not be dangerous to anyone. Our producer, Jack Malice, in the before show pointed out that what dirty bombs generally do is they spread it out over a bigger area so that some of that radiating stuff might get on the zombies. And Mest pointed out that, hey, we don't know what those zombies have been crawling through. So I guess it's possible that they would have some nuclear stuff on them, but just having been irradiated themselves would not make them radioactive.
They could just crawl through the reactor. Go ahead, Miss Mouse.
Would it affect anything if you burn anything that's been irradiated too? Or would that
That ends up being, that's what Fallout is spreading radiated stuff into the air. But those zombies themselves would not be radioactive, so burning them should not be a problem.
That's what I thought.
And then once again, we are talking about a show where the zombies come back to life.
Yes. I had to get my little rant in there. Logic over.
Yeah, no. Logic doesn't exist here.
Where it should.
But we get the explanation for what all radiation is. There was two plants, and one of them, because it
The
makes
coolant failed, and
it makes perfect sense. The fact that they haven't gone to this storyline before in the 10 years that the comic book's being written and stuff, or I've never even seen anybody really focus on this storyline with the post-apocalyptic zombies. Yeah, eventually those plants, without having anybody to run them, would just they would go into meltdown.
it's not even eventually. I looked it up a little bit. For most places, if they didn't have constant balancing and maintaining, it would be as little as a week before they would just stop functioning. Not necessarily meltdowns, not like atomic bomb style, but like they would just stop working. A lot of them have automatic shutdown procedures built in. But for inevitably, we've got 100+ nuclear sites in the U.S. and it is still the cleanest, safest energy we have. The few that did melt down in that kind of conditions, it probably, it wouldn't be anything as destructive as Chernobyl. It would probably at worst be like a mile or two around each plant where you couldn't live.
Yeah, that's true. I didn't think. Yeah, that is definitely true. So, yeah, I didn't think. Yeah, we're not in the Chernobyl age of nuclear.
Yeah. Well, because otherwise we would have like 120, 130 sites around the U.S. that would just be bombs, which that would work.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Okay. Where did I leave off on here? Okay, so we get Grace. What do you guys think about her character coming in?
I love the actress. Apparently, she's from something else. I don't know. I guess she's.
Yeah, I saw somebody mention that.
But I thought she was a fantastic actress. I found it a little confusing that Alicia and Morgan didn't figure out what that character was quicker than they did. You know, she was talking about the plant at first as if it had just happened, when clearly she, had a personal stake in it. They eventually figure out, oh yeah, no, she was the operations officer for that plant, which makes
she with the names.
How come she didn't die right away?
Yeah, she keeps looking at the names, so that's why.
Yeah, but then I want to know, where was she when everybody else died? Was she off getting groceries?
Probably.
Well, we get two major things with her coming into the foray. She takes Morgan's stick, and now he's stickless. I said stickless.
Man, he has had some issues with his stick. Yeah.
It is porous. So she talks about how he can't have his stick, that she's going to hold on to his stick.
She's so mean to him. First, she ties him down. She tells him to strip. She forces him to take off his wedding ring. Then she won't give him back his stick. She's so mean to him.
Well, even right at the beginning when he's like, I'm gonna need that stick back, it's kind of important to me. She was gonna shoot him if Alicia hadn't tackled her, right?
Yeah.
Well, because she's like, stop talking. And he kept talking. And it was like the theme of this episode is you talk too much.
Yeah, really. Yeah.
Daniel tells Victor he talks too much. Grace tells Morgan he talks too much.
Bismarck talks too much.
And so they take her gun. She explains everything. They take him back to the truck, and you get a shower scene of Morgan. And I'm assuming this is the first time he's taken his wedding ring off, because
it sure looked like it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He took it off, he rinsed it, and then he just kind of went oh. Yeah, I mean, it's been they're still at what, 6-7 years in or something like that. They're not up to the Walking Dead time jump yet. So they're up. But yeah, it's
because they time jumped and then Walking Dead time jumped after that.
Yeah, it looked to me like that was the first time he took that ring off. And I'm sure he put it back on,
Oh, he put it back on after, yeah, he didn't leave it there.
But again, with what I was saying earlier about being radiated doesn't make you a radiator. He could have kept his stick. That's garbage.
True. But can you wash the stick too? Can you take a shower?
Well, that's what she was saying, was that the wood was porous, so theoretically any tiny bullets would be stuck in the wood.
He loves his stick. Let him shower with his stick.
He has
Shower with his stick.
Yeah,
somebody's going to need to Photoshop Lenny James showering with a stick now.
If he makes sure to clean his stick really good, then he doesn't have to worry about it.
That stick is dangerous. He was just cleaning it and went off.
I mean, I'm sure that's the first lesson he was taught, was just to make sure you clean your stick really good.
Don't point that thing at me.
Oh God. Oh.
Trigger discipline, dude.
The funniest thing about this now is us talking about sticks. The amount of mute and bad lip reading that can happen with this.
I swear, next week I'm gonna get a white shirt and I'm gonna write on it, "Give Morgan back his stick."
So we want Morgan with his stick in his hand, and we want a toxic Avenger, a zombie with a mop in his hand.
Oh God!
Every week we will ask for Morgan, a boy to be able to play with his stick.
with the decontam shower over his head.
I'd make a t-shirt actually.
Okay, so they go. They talk with Grace more. Grace talks about that she saw that they were the ones that crashed their plane, and she's like, "Well, you got to take
Is
me to
that why
crash
you still have blood all over you? Oh yeah, the plane crash. That was us.
So she says, "You got to take me to the crash site. Got to make sure that you guys didn't get contaminated there." And she's trying to kill all the contaminated.
Rude.
While she's doing that, you have John and June having to go on foot because their car breaks down, and they go to Camp Crackleberry. That was what it said.
Cackleberry.
Right?
I think it was Cackleberry.
Yeah,
Like there was,
Cackleberry.
that's a strange camp name. I mean, I know
Cackleberry. Is
strange, but
Cackleberry
wow.
something? Did anybody look this up?
Well, okay, so we know that Strand is in El Paso because we saw a road sign as he was walking in there. Where is everybody else? They said that they were on the other side of the mountain from him. I'm trying to think of what big mountains are in Texas.
No, I'm just trying to figure out what the heck a Cackleberry is. Has anybody looked up what a Cackleberry is?
No.
No,
I assume it's made up like every other camp name.
I don't want to.
Let's see if we can figure this out. And also, the actress that's playing Grace, her name is Karen David. She has appeared in Gallivant. And
one she's famous for, yeah.
Yeah, she was in Legacies, which is one of the spin-offs of the vampire show on CW. And there was something else that people were really talking about that she was good in. She was in Once Upon a Time as well.
Yeah,
So.
That's where I saw her from because I've been watching that series again.
Oh, nice.
I want to say Jasmine?
Yeah.
Oh, she played Jasmine? Okay.
That or she was a fairy or something. I don't know. I'll have to watch it again. But the scene where they're getting ready to walk to the camp, is it just me or were they kind of lazy with the camera angles?
Well, and so yeah, they find the sign that says the camp name. They figure out, hey, maybe the kids went back there. They had some connection to that. And yeah, they did a full-on fade cut to like them starting to walk to them walking somewhere farther, like 3 seconds later. To like, wow, did we really need all that?
Yeah,
there is a Cackleberry, Texas.
So I mean,
that's probably it then.
Could have done without that scene.
Okay. How close is it to El Paso?
I don't know.
Them walking towards the camp, we could have done without.
Yeah. Although the camp,
Yeah.
the camp that they walk up to is this gorgeous like ranch style house. Like, I mean, clearly run down from years of zombie apocalypse, but that was a nice house. I want that place.
You enjoy
So
it.
Cackleberry was a well-used slang word for egg during the 1950s. So that's what it is. It's a hen's egg.
Oh, cackleberry. That's gross.
Yeah, Cackleberry is a hen's egg used for food. So that's where the name came from.
So the camp is a chicken egg.
It's probably a chicken farm. It's probably meant for.
Yeah, where some kid named Kevin got killed all those years ago.
But yeah, that's where you get the other half of the radiated zombies, and they still got to take some out because there's a dead pile of burnt zombie bodies, which has put the radiation into the air, apparently.
Their very own little mini fallout cloud.
And everybody else that got sick from, making s'mores on the irradiated zombies is locked in the cabins.
No, I want the marshmallow on fire.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie. If we were roasting, we had a fire going, whether it was zombies in it or not, I'd probably break out some marshmallows and chocolate and graham cracker and make me.
Just wander out to the. What smells like rotting pork? S'mores. Let's get it.
Yeah.
In all of this stuff with Grace and trying to help, and Morgan trying to help, we find out that Grace has radiation poisoning, so she says, and doesn't have a lot of time. So she is cannon fodder for this season, it appears. And we'll find out with that. That's what they basically said.
Which kind of sucked because for a second there, with the shower and the wedding ring comment, it looked like they might have been trying to set her up as sort of a love interest for Morgan. And then he asks her to come along with them, and she's like, I'm dying.
Yeah. And in all of this going on, You get the only other person that has any major storyline with this episode is Luciana, because one, she's very highly medicated, healing on stuff, so she's talking a lot about how she wants to learn to play the accordion.
Just the actual lines are my favorite. She's like, I can't feel my fingers. June says, oh yeah, you hit the, it's near the brachial, radial, blah, 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 nerve cluster. You probably won't be able, it's going to take a while to heal. And then Luciana goes, how long till I can play the accordion? She goes, you play the accordion? She goes, I've been thinking about learning. That is a classic dad joke. That's fantastic right there.
That was one of my.
But she also brings up, is that the drugs talking? Because she even understands, like, why am I talking about the accordion so much?
After the second time.
That was probably my favorite scene in that episode because it was funny, it was cute, it was adorable.
Yeah. Which, I mean, the funny thing, so while this is all going on, Strand is trying to, hey, I have friends. Friends need help. I got friends. And Daniel's going, admit it. You have nobody that you're trying to help. You just want the plane for yourself. Just man up. Admit it. And
which makes me wonder, like, if he had just said, yeah, I just want the plane for me, would Daniel then give him the plane?
No, he just would have shot him then. This way, he let him leave without getting shot.
I have a theory that we'll get to at the end for that as well.
Yeah, you'll have more stuff happen. But they finally get a hold of Luciana, and Luciana brings up the accordion again because she's talking about like how serious she is.
No, that's when she was talking to Morgan and Alicia.
Okay, yeah.
Who had not been there for the accordion gibberish coming out of her mouth earlier. And she's like, Strand's going to call. I really feel it. I just know that he is. And not like I know about, it's not the drugs, the accordion stuff. That's the drugs. Morgan's like, what?
Yeah, exactly. Okay, that's what it was. Okay. So she gets a hold of him. She talks to him. That's where I put, did Daniel and Lucy know each other? I
don't think so.
I don't think they did. Yeah. Okay. And that's Miss Mel.
I think so. We had
same thing.
Yeah. Daniel was with them when they were escaping LA. They met Luciana.
No, Luciana they met in Mexico, and she was dealing with the cartel.
No, I'm saying because Daniel was already missing from the fire.
Well, that's what I was wondering, because Daniel was with the cartel that was running the dam, and Luciana was dealing with the other form of the cartel.
It did seem like a really big organization.
Yeah, that's what I was like. But
also, Daniel was in jail with them.
I don't think they knew each other.
Yeah, I don't think they did, but okay.
So yeah, when Strand is trying to convince Daniel that these are your friends too, as far as I can tell, the only two people in that entire group he knows are Strand and Alicia.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and Alicia was a little spoiled brat during that time.
Yeah, she wasn't the Hamilton and T2 that she's turned into.
No, Strand was very selfish as well, and we don't know what the interaction was with Althea. Althea usually is just, I want to get my story and go type of thing. So there may have not been a connection that was made. With
there was probably a small one, but enough for Daniel to be like, she's a survivor.
Yeah. And that's what I'm saying is I don't think there's a connection where it's like, I need to make sure she's taken care of her, help and save her. It was, I gave my story. That's what she wanted. Because you know what it is with Althea. It's always, you give me your story. It's a trade. So they've already done their trade.
I wonder if that video has like him telling a story how his cat got the name Skidmark.
Possibly. Maybe that's why it's written down as Skidmark on there instead of Daniel. So he gets proven to him. He tells Strand, okay, yeah, you have friends. They need help. That's why you got to go. And we think that he's finally going to go with them, but he means literally like, Strand, you have to
No, you have to leave.
Yeah. Like
I'm not giving you a plane.
Yeah. And he shoots off twice to attract zombies again. And is like, if you come back, the third one will be in your face. And
which, to be fair, turnabout is fair play.
Yeah. Yeah. So sends him off to.
So here's my theory on this, because what he actually says is, yes, they need help, but not from you. Anytime you try to help people, you make things worse. Basically, you ruin everyone around you. Go away. He doesn't, but he still acknowledges that the other group needs help. I think he's going to go take that plane himself and go help them. I think end of next episode or the beginning of the fourth one will be Daniel Salazar helping, showing up to get them out of a jam.
And you know what's going to be on the side of that plane?
CNL.
CNL. No. What was that group called? That's with the it took Rick. Oh, I can't remember it.
101st Airborne?
No, group that took
It's the trifecta because it's 3 circles merging with each other. It's the Trinity. Everybody thinks it's the Commonwealth, but we don't know what it is.
I know that's what it is. Yeah. It's the Commonwealth symbol's gonna be on here.
Which is actually Trinity. It's the actress that plays Trinity.
That's what popped in my head too.
And then that was pretty much the gist of it. That was the last thing. So Luciana, going back to her, she talked to Strand. While she was talking, she loses the connection with him. She goes outside, and the tower.
And she's still very doped up, by the way.
Yes, the tower has fallen over, and the wind must have knocked it over. That messed up the line, which of course I don't think happened. I think somebody cut that line.
Yep.
And
didn't notice any particular amount of wind going on.
She talks to June. June's like, "What are you doing outside? You need to go get back inside and lay down." And the zombies start coming. She tries to shoot at the zombies and realizes
left-handed.
Yeah, she is not prepared to do anything. So she gets back into the room, passes out, faints. The next time you see her, she's being woken up by June. She asks about the zombies. They're like, "What zombies?" They open the door, they look outside, and the decoration that Mrs. Malice loves is now hanging up on the billboard as you have all the heads of the zombies up there chomping away with Simon. I'm sure he's up there somewhere doing his and entrails. That was the craziest one. Was like, okay, the zombie heads up there, I see, but the amount of entrails that were just on top of
it was a lot. It was a lot. That took work.
So
there's obviously more than one of them.
Even before we talk about the entrails on the billboard, I got to get back to the beginning of that little. When June and John Dory leave her alone, that was my second favorite scene in the entire episode, because they're like, "Wow, you're pretty messed up on the drugs, huh? We're gonna leave. Do you want a gun?"
Well, they didn't want to leave her alone. She's like, I
know, but it was. I mean, the lines that we're paraphrasing were like, "You're pretty messed up, huh? Don't forget to take your meds if you're hurt. We're going to leave you alone now while you're high. Here, have a gun."
And stay inside. Don't go outside. Be a good girl and stay inside. Do your homework. Do your drugs.
Yeah. So we get.
Don't forget to crush it up real good.
We get what you think is the villain, a second villain of the series, Mrs. Malice, from this group.
I think they are. The Intel people are definitely a villain. I feel like they're a villain.
So here's the question. We know Dwight's coming back this season, or he's going to show up and Morgan's going to see him. Is Dwight with one of these two groups, either with Logan's group or with this group, or is Dwight a loner that's just going to end up popping up?
If he's with either group, it's with the Entrails group, but I think he's just on his own.
I think he's on his own too.
Okay. I could see him being with the groups.
And I'm not.
I got the name for the Intel group. We can call them the Talking Head group.
The Talking Heads, yeah.
I only want Dwight to be with the group for one reason. I want him to be with Logan's group to create a connection there, so I can get more Max Headroom and not lose him this season, because I do like that actor. So that's
we do need more Matt Frewer. I want more Mo Collins and Chell Mitchell too. They're hilarious.
Well, we know we're gonna get that. It's just that Logan's being set up as a protagonist right now, and that's
protagonist or antagonist.
Oh, sorry, antagonist. He's being set up as an antagonist right now because he didn't agree with what Polar Bear was doing, and here's Morgan and his group doing exactly what Polar Bear was doing in the first place. So,
yeah, but I feel like he did it the most non-violent way he could have. Like, I think.
No, absolutely.
So I don't think he's like a true bad guy. So much it's just like, I don't agree with you. Like, we're political enemies now.
Yeah, and that's I'm fine with that. And that's the thing is, looks like if we get two villains, it's two completely different types. It's ones that are fighting with this is how you survive in the zombie apocalypse at the point we're at now with Logan, and then another group that I don't know if they're trying to send messages of stay out of our area because one, we've given you entrail zombie gating, and now
There could be some parallels to the Whisperers. Like, we're gonna do horrific things to make sure you leave us the hell alone. But please just leave us the hell alone.
Okay. All right, that's it. That's our episode for the recap. Next week will be just actually one episode focused, so we'll be able to like kind of dive in a little deeper on what things are going on with the headlines in it and everything. I did have one thing that I had written down from the showrunners. So the last thing I wrote down was Entertainment Weekly talking to the showrunners on their weekly interview did mention that there is more to come with Morgan Stick this season. So
Nice.
Sorry.
That man back his stick.
They said there's more story to come with his stick. So, any theories? Anybody dying? Who's dying if they are of the major characters left?
Al.
I think Al.
I'm just gonna throw that out there. I don't really know who. I'm just gonna
I think Al is our continuing story connection to set up Rick's movie, being that. So I don't think she dies right now. I think she may end up actually in. It makes sense. She's a little bit more of a known name coming into Fear the Walking Dead when she came in and putting her into the films.
Maybe they'll pull her off the show and put her in the movie with Rick.
That's what I'm thinking might end up happening. It might set up that.
So she might. She's not going to die. She's going to leave the show.
I'm thinking either June or John Dory.
Oh God.
I know, and I don't like it. I think they're gonna get like the middle of the season to like solidify their relationship and just be real good and have some time together, and then one of them bites it. I could be either one. John's already been shot a couple of times.
I'm still taking Luciana because I just don't see where to go with her story. I just that's
well, the thing is, generally when we kill people off on these shows, it's because their character arc has sort of been satisfied. Their lives, they've become better people.
Yeah.
And she has become a better person, so she learns to play the accordion.
I mean, that's the thing is Luciana has.
She's gonna play her first accordion solo, and somebody's gonna shoot her.
Right?
Well, she had the connection with the little girl in last season during the storm, and I think that's now that that's done, and the girl is now a main character on the series. She's actually in the title role now. She's a permanent character. I think that's where it'll be the replacement of Luciana will die off, and we'll get more of the story with the little girl. Yeah.
Who Luciana tried to save. So that would make sense that Luciana would go and the little girl replaces her because Luciana did save her. I remember from right, she saved her times and they tried to take her and Nick tried to take her in.
She shot Nick.
From the crazy clown people.
Or she shot Nick. Luciana and Nick tried to take her in as their own.
And then she shot Nick, and then after Nick was dead, she rekindled. She created an actual full connection with the girl for the first time during the storm when the girl was trying to get herself bitten.
Right. I thought that was Alicia that was with her.
Was it Alicia?
Yeah.
I thought Luciana was I don't know. Maybe it was Alicia too. I don't know. I don't remember. Okay, that's it. That's who we think's dying this season. We'll have more theories and thoughts next week when we talk about Fear the Walking Dead again here Monday on twitch.tv/Malice Corp live for your enjoyment and your pleasure. And that's what I got to say about that. If you guys want to check everything else out, make sure to head over to, once again, malice-corp.com. You can see it written on your screen if you're watching this live. If you're not and you're listening to it, that is MALICE-CORP.com. And come hang out with us. Come listen to the other cast and everything we have. Let's talk about where we can follow everybody else outside of this cast if you want to interact and talk dead with everybody. Mrs. Malice, do you remember your Twitter handle?
Yeah.
Where people can follow you?
It's at Walking Dead Mal1 Twitter.
Yeah. Walking Dead MAL.
It's in front of me every time I say it, so I'll admit it. I cheat.
What about you, Ices, or where can people follow you?
Mel with a sword. At Icy Zora on Twitter, Instagram, and PlayStation Network.
And if you want to follow this entire network of nerds and geeks and everything on Twitter at Malice Corp, or this podcast is at All Nerd Podcast on Twitter, or you can come interact with us anytime on Facebook, facebook.com/groups/all things nerd podcast. You can follow me on Twitter at Get Your Hands Off My Stick. No, I mean at Mest_Malice Corp. And on Instagram at Mess5150. That is it. That's all we got for this week. We will talk to you guys next week. And as always, remember, we're all infected. Stay safe, and we will see you next Monday.
Carry on.
Give him back a stick. Give him back his stick.